Hello friends, you're welcome. In this video tutorial, I just explain you how to create a login form in Visual Studio. So presently we are using Visual Studio 2019 using Visual Basic language. So that's the VB.NET. So as we all know, like login form will have the user ID, email or phone number. So this is the first text box. And second one, there is a corresponding password. So if both these two values are matching, then you should allow to login. Otherwise, we are not supposed to allow to login. Now here there are two ways. One is with the database validation and without database validation. Without database validation means it's a static values. So therefore, in a program, for example, ID is 101 and password 101. Okay, so the ID is 101, password is 101. Only these two values are valid. When you enter this and this, then only you can able to log in. If not, you can't able to log in. It's a fixed. But that does not help you much. So most of the time, we need to validate with the database table. What are the values readily available? We want to check the compare with them, and if they are valid, we want to log in. Therefore, it is with database validation. So I'll show both the things. Without validation, so it's very easy, but with database validation, so we're supposed to have a database and the table and the values over there, then we need to compare them. So all this I'll demonstrate and I'll show you. So please write down all the steps and you try yourself. So in order to work with this, you require a Visual Studio. So if you don't have Visual Studio, you go to visualstudio.com. And you can see there is a free Visual Studio you can download. That is a Visual Studio community. And you click here free download. A small exe file will be get download. And you open that file. You go step by step and install the Visual Studio completely in your system. Once you have Visual Studio in your system, we can open the Visual Studio. So here is Visual Studio 2019. Right. So here the project which is already opened, they'll show the list. And if at all, if you would like to create a new project, you supposed to choose create new project. So here is the create new project. I'm going to choose create new project. Now I'll go to create Visual Basic project. So here you can see what are the components already installed. So in order to work with Visual Basic, you're supposed to install Visual Basic in this system. Now here you can see Windows Form.NET. This is a Visual Basic Windows desktop application. You need to select Windows Form app, a project for creating an application with Windows Forms user interface. Okay, so select this option and the language is Visual Basic. So after selecting this, you have to go to next. So here it'll ask me what is the project name. So login project. So let's give the name as a login project. And next step is where you would like to save the project. Location is important. By default, it will go to users folder. But I don't want here. So therefore you browse here. There is a browse button. That is a 3 dot. So on browsing, so just have to go to drive, which drive you want. I go to D drive. So here we go to, D drive. Then I go to temp folder. So then there is a new projects here. I'll use this particular folder. So this is a temp folder 00 new project. So in case if you in your system, create your name and then Visual Basic projects. Under that you can create them. Right. Next is a solution name. You want a different solution name, you can disable this. Let it be the same solution name. You don't want the different solution name. So therefore we don't need to uncheck this. Let it be checked. And the framework. So we have multiple frameworks here. So we are selected presently 4.6, which is already installed in this system. I'll choose 4.6. So you can use the higher versions also. There is no problem. Right. Next, you click the create button. A project will be created. Right. So now you can see that a form is appear here. And this is a solution explorer. This is a solution explorer window. And here is a properties window. And this is a server explorer for database connectivity and all. This is a server explorer. And then toolbox. So here you can see that all the tools, particularly all the controls, Visual Basic controls are available over here. Fine. So there are 4 are there. In case if you don't have all these windows, so I just close them and I'll show you like how to get back. Okay, so now you can see that we don't have any window. I can close this, so we can remove this standard toolbar also. It's totally empty now. In case if you have this situation, you want to get it back your standard toolbar, you can right click here. Sorry. So you go to view menu. Here I want standard toolbar, so therefore fine. So you want to get the standard toolbar back. So go to view menu, then toolbars. So here is a standard toolbar, standard, right? So we'll get the standard toolbar. So now we have the standard toolbar on the top. Next one, we want to get the solution explorer. Go to view menu, and you can see then the first only there is a solution explorer. So you can select the solution explorer. Solution explorer will show like what is your project is and what are the components are there in your project. So all the details will be shown in the solution explorer. Next, we want to get the properties window. So in order to get the properties window, just browse over here. So there is other windows. So then you can check for properties window over here. No, it's not here. So okay. So here is the properties window. In some versions, it will be there in other windows. In some versions, it will be there in the main menu itself. Therefore, there is also shortcut key Ctrl+W or P to get the properties window. So you can see that there is a properties window which appeared again here. Next, we want toolbox. So for you need to select the toolbox. The next one we want is the server explorer. So therefore you need to select the server explorer. Now you can see that all the windows we are having on the screen. Now to get back the form, so you just double click on the form. So you'll have a form over here. So everything is set by default. All these things would be required in this project. Right now, run the project. So you can see that the form is running. So it is there here. Fine. So now first step is, let me change the background color. So you select the form and go to properties window. In the window, there is a property called as background. So our back color. Okay. So there's a back color property. So click here. You can take the custom color and choose the color you want. So let me choose this color. Right. So I'll take light color. On desktop, you can take a light color. If you're using laptop, take a little dark color. That is ideal. Fine. Save this. Now if you run the project, now you can see that the form is running and it is here. So what we do is we can make a full screen. Okay. This particular form, we can make it as a full screen. So therefore we have to go to Windows State Property. In this, there is a maximized property. There is a maximized property. So once it's maximized, so you can see that when you run the project, now the whole screen, the form will come in the full screen, right? And here you can see the form 1. So the title is form 1. So now we want to change as a login form. So therefore you go to text here in the properties window and change to login form. Login form, FORM. So now that is done. Next step, we require a text box, label and button. So now go to toolbox. You can see there is a button here. So the one method is click on the button and then drag on the form. So you want one more text box. So text box. So here is all actually. So I don't want all. I'll just take a common controls here. So in case of common controls, so searching is easy. Here is a text box. We take the text box and we record a label. So then you can search for label. Here is a label. Right. So now what we'll do is we'll keep the label over here. And then here you can see the font. Font is very small. So I want to increase the font. So if I want to increase the font, if I select individual control and if increase the font size, only applicable to that particular control. If I want to apply for all the controls, then in the form level, okay, select the form. So they see that form is selected in the properties. And there is a property called as a font. Okay, there is a font over here. And then browse. Presently it is a 8. So size is 8. So let me increase to 12. And now I want a different one. So this is a Vardhana. So select Vardhana or whichever the font you want, you select that one and click OK. Now you can see that the font size is increased. All the control size also correspondingly it's increased. Now you can align them. Now give the title here. So what is the name of this control? Text actually, what you want to display over there. So, right. So here is a login ID. or email ID or mobile number, whatever you want to do. So it's a login ID. And now here is the name of this box is text box 1. So the name is text box 1. That is what very important. Text box 1. And here is a button. So the button is button 1. So by default it is a button 1. And the text, so here is, I can say, login. So if I click on this, we should log in, right? So now we record again one more label, one more text box. So you keep the cursor somewhere outside and drag by holding the mouse, by holding the left button, drag it. Both the items are selected, both the controls are selected. Now copy, Control C, paste, Control V. Now you can see that both the controls are pasted. You can do one also. So if you want only one text box, copy this and then paste it. So now here is a login ID that I changed to password. And by default, it is a text box 2. By name is text box 2. When you copy and paste, the control name automatically increment. The last number will automatically increment. Now it's 2. Next, this login button. So copy the login button and then paste. You can see that button 2 automatically created. Now I keep this side and then, so here you can say cancel or close. So let's say cancel. So there are 2 buttons. Okay. Now the design is over. One is user ready. First label login ID, second label password, text box 1, text box 2, and there's a login button. Now run the project and see how it looks. Fine. So this is how it looks now. So this is how we made an alignment. You can do the alignment whatever way you want. I'll show you later like how we can put a one picture box backside. So therefore it will be more attractive. And also we can change the color of the button. So in case I want to change this color, so go to back color again. So here is a back color. So let me change to some green color. So cancel. Let me change to some red color. Right. So the color of both the buttons are changed. So you want to change the text color. So there is a login here. There is a 4 color. So select 4 color and then change the color. So now you can see that it becomes blue. I want to make it dark blue, okay, light blue, or whatever the color we want. Fine. So let me make it dark blue only, right? So this is again cancel, 4 color, and then dark blue. So back color, there's a background color, 4 color, that is a text color. Now let me run this. So you can see that this is how it looks now. Next step is to write a code for this. Right, login. So double click on the button. So it automatically takes the code window. Button 1 underscore click. When you click this, what you want to write. So that you need to check it out here. Here, as I told already, without database, so easily we can write if text box 1.text, what are the values are there, that is equal to what value, then right. So by default, let's say ABCD. If there is ABCD, then only should allow. Then we can use AND operator here, and text box 2.text is equal to ABCD. So now text box 2, that is a password. Even that is also should be ABCD. Then we can use the message box. Message box dot show login successful. Right. So else, in case both are not matching, then you can give the message box login ID or password is not correct. So please check. Right. So now save this and then run the project. Now type something else. You can see that login ID password is not correct. Please check. Now type ABCD, then ABCD, click. So login successful. So if you type ABCD, it can log in. If you type something else, it should not. And also you can see that ABCD, the password should have some stars actually. So how to make star here? So in order to make the stars, just go to properties again. Right, there is a password character. In front of this, you put a star over there. That means whenever you type something, the star should come. You want something else to come, you can put that particular character here. Now you can see that ABCD, the stars will come. Now when I say cancel, the program should end. Right. So therefore I need to write the code here, cancel, and end. End is the end the complete program. So close the complete program. Therefore there is an end. Okay. So run the project and click cancel. The project starts. The next step is, okay, fine, it shows that login successful, but you want to show some other form. So you want to show the next form. So in that case, you go to project, you add another form. So let's say form 2, click add. So again, change the color. So this is the back color. Right. So now this is some blue color. And then a window state, it's maximized. Form, let's call it as the main form. Done. Now if it's successful, it should show me the form 2. So then what you can do is, so instead of message box, I'll remark this with a single quote. Then you can say form 2 dot show. Form 2 dot show, and you want to hide the present one. Okay, so that you don't want the present one. So therefore you can say me dot hide to hide that particular form, and we want to show the second form. So save this, so run. Now we write ABCD and something else. So user ID password is not correct, and you type only ABCD. So now you can say that form is gone, and then this next form is appear on the screen. Or you can also have an MDF form, so that I'll show you in the next video. Right. So next step is how to connect to the database. The same thing, how do we do work with the database? When you talk about database, there are a few important things we need to consider. So first thing is the namespace. So here you can see that system.data.sql client. So this is the namespace which is required. Another terms, at a library. So kind of library we required, that is system.data.sql client. Therefore in the beginning, you have to import this namespace, system.data.sql client. In order to work with database, you require SQL client. And there are three important components. One is SQL connection. So you need to declare CONN as SQL connection. Here CONN is a name given. You can give any name, there is no problem. But in order to indicate it as a connection, we take it as a connection. The rest of them are keywords, whereas connection is a variable or a variable name. So here is of the type SQL connection. One is SQL connection. The next one is a SQL command. SQL command to execute the SQL statements. So in order to execute the SQL statement, we require SQL command. Here cmd0, again it is a variable name. You can give any name here. So dim cmd0 as a new SQL command. It is of type SQL command. And one more, SQL data reader. In case if you use a select statement, you require SQL data reader. So therefore, three important components. One is connection, SQL command, and then SQL reader. Whereas in case of if you are using insert, update, delete, you don't require SQL data reader. SQL data reader only required when you are using the select statement, select star from particular table. In that case, we require SQL data reader. So let me go back to the project, login project. So here first we'll create a database. So in order to create a database, you need to go to Server Explorer. So save all the files, Server Explorer, and you have to go to data connections. So select data connections, right click, go to add connection. And then here you can see we can have multiple types. So at the moment we're going to use Microsoft SQL Server database file. So database file is easy to deploy, easy to transfer from one system to another system. Therefore you're using SQL Server database file. Now what is the file name, where it is? So we go to browse. So you can see that the login project, bin, debug, right? So here you need to create the files or database. So let's say login database. the database name is a login database, but it's not there. So even you have browsed this and we given the name over there, at the end we given login database.mdf. Fine. So if it is a new, okay, even you can create the new, or if it's already existing, we can able to link that one. So if it's a new one, so let's give the name. Use Windows authentications and click OK. So do you want to create it? Yes. So here you're going to create the database. So done. So now you can see that there is a login database. You can see the login database. If you expand this, there is a triangular mark here. Click on this. So it will expand. Then you go to tables. So if you expand tables, there are no tables. We record our login table. Therefore, I can go to add new table. Add new table. Fine. So anyhow, there is a SQL statement over here. We can use this and we can write. So table name, or else the easiest way is write a SQL query straight away. Right. Anyway, first you create table dbo.table. So instead of login table, I make it as a login table. And here is the ID and all. Okay, I don't want all these things. So this is login ID. So this is the varchar of 10 and password. So again, this is a varchar of 10. Right. So here in the first line we require a comma, second line we don't require. So now we can execute this. So to execute this, you have to click the update button. So update database. So now come back to the Server Explorer and you can refresh it here. So you can see that there is a login table. Okay, it is done. There are many ways to do this. I just shown one actually. So keep watching videos here in this channel. I will show you like multiple ways to create the tables. Even you write a SQL statement and how to create the tables, that is also available. So therefore subscribe to our channel and keep watching more videos. Therefore you can learn and each episode some important things. Right. So now it's a login table. Right click here and you go to show table data. So here will show all the data. What are the data is already there, but there is no data because just now we created. So here what we do is I'll say admin, then password is also admin, or ABCD or ABCD. Now with both this we can able to log in, whether it's admin and admin or ABCD with ABCD, or else you can use any login ID and any password. So if that matches, then only it allowed to log in here. Fine. So now your database is ready. There is a login database.mdf. Table is ready. Okay, both are ready. Now the next step is, as we discussed already, we need to import. So you need to import system.data.sql client. So system.data.sql client. So this is a namespace required. So now to work with the database. So that's the first step. Second step, we need to declare connection object. So therefore we write dim conn as new SQL connection. SQL connection. So then here you provide the SQL connection string. We need to provide the SQL connection string. So the question is how to get the SQL connection string. SQL connection string. To get the SQL connection string, come back to the Server Explorer again. So select the login database.mdf and you can see there is a connection string here. We need to copy the complete connection string here. So copy the complete code and then come back here, put the double quotes and then paste it here. So now this establishes the link. So if I run this, you can see that there is no errors. So it means it's working. So the next step is we have connections ready. Now, so instead of this, okay, we don't want this now. So I'll just go into remark it. Fine. So what we want to do is we want to check whether you entered something in the text box 1 or not. So I'll just take this again. So if is empty and R, you can say R, text box 2 is equal to empty. I mean, you not entered anything over there. So then we'll uncheck this. So right, so message box, undo, sorry. So if is empty, like no, both are empty, so there is no point in go to database to check this, to match this. Therefore first we'll check login ID or password is not correct, please check. So therefore something is empty, you can give what are the message. Otherwise you can say user ID password is not entered, please enter the values. So like that. I can also check for the length, okay, minimum length and all we can do. But anyway, I'll check only this much. After that, so this option called the exit sub. So I don't want to execute rest of the code. So I want to stop it over there, right? So if I run this and if you click the button, so login ID password is not correct, please check, okay, because it's empty, right? Now we'll put something, so this message will not come, fine. Now next step is we want to check what are the values you entered with the database. So we want to take to the table and check whether these values already present in the table or not. In order to do this, so we need to generate one SQL statement, dim SQL str as string, okay, SQL str as a string. Then we can write this, we can put it outside also, so outside the procedure. So we declare one variable, that is SQL str. Now we write SQL str is equal to select star from table name, that is a login table. So you should write exactly table name, so login table. And what are the columns? You have login ID and the password. So then you have to write where statement, where login ID is equal to single quote because it's a text value, and text box 1 dot text. What are the value in the text box? Then double quotes, single quote, and so password, okay. So therefore that is a p word. I'll copy this and then type it over there. So don't give spaces here, like don't give spaces like this, okay. It's wrong actually, because then it's assumed there should be a space after the password. So now this login ID and this p word that is equal to text box 2. Now this is the SQL statement. Now our SQL statement is ready, that is select star from login table, where login ID is equal to text box 1 and the password is equal to text box 2. Now we need to open this connection. So therefore you can say connection dot open. So once you open the connection, now it will establish the connection to this particular database. That is done. After opening the connection, so we need to declare command object, that is cmd0 as a SQL command. So now dim cmd0 or 1 whatever it is as new SQL command. So here you need to write the SQL command, right? So SQL command minimum 2 parameters. One is what is the statement you want to give, that is there in the SQL str, that is a variable, and what is the connection, so which is the connection object. So cmd text as a string and connection as a SQL connection. So SQL connection is a conn. So conn knows what is your connection is, therefore you have to give conn. Now we establish the connection. Next step is what are the value comes, you need to transfer to a data reader. So now therefore we required dmd as SQL data reader. So dim d1 as SQL data reader. Next d1 is equal to, so we need to write or we can write here only, otherwise d1 is equal to cmd1 dot execute reader. So we need to execute the reader. execute reader. So execute reader means execute the cmd1. Cmd1 will have this statement. This once it returns the values, will come to the d1. So now d1 will have all the values. So if returns the value means what? What are the ID and what are the password you enter? For that, if the corresponding data comes back to d1, it means there is a record. Therefore, we check if d1.read, it's read, then its login is correct. Okay. So therefore, we can show the form 2. Else, you have to tell the user our user ID or password is not correct. So after showing the form 2, maybe you want to hide this form. So for me.hide, you can hide the present form. So what are very important? First thing is you need to import SQL client. Second one is you need to declare SQL connection, and then you need to take the connection string. Connection string, you select the database and then come to connection string here. You'll get the connection string, copy that and then paste it here. Then check whether they are empty or not. After that, you need to declare one variable and you need to write the SQL statement, and then connection.open. And we can, because connection is open, you need to close the connection, connection.close. So close the connection. So these are the steps we need to write to connect to the database and to check whether the data is present or not. So now run. Now type ABCD or something like this. So your login ID password is not correct. Please check. Now I'll do is admin, then admin, and click OK. So you can see that form 2 came. That means, so go to the database and check whether that particular user ID password is present. It yes, then it show this particular form. So even you can try for ABCD also, like because we already have ABCD over there. ABCD, ABCD, click login, even that works. Other than this, if you try anything else, it won't work. So some data, so no, it won't. Because this data, these values are not there in the database. So hope you understand this. So please try practically, learn all these things, experience it. There may be some errors. So if you have some problems, please write it in a comment box so we can help you solve that problems. Thank you very much.